Good morning, good morning. Out of Zurich, this is the Apostle. I'm skipping through the headline of the Daily Mail in the UK online. And here's an article that we have dealt with already, but this is an update of it. Home Secretary Sajid Javid says sorry to 18 Windrush Generation members as he admits total wrongly deported or detained could rise to 164. Said Javid today said sorry to 18 Windrush Generation members believed to have been wrongly detained or deported. The Home Secretary issued the apology after a few thousands of cases where people with Caribbean heritage could have been wrongly caught up in the immigration crackdown. He also revealed that the total numbers of the individuals who might have been wrongly detained or removed could have been as high as 164. The news came in a letter to MPs on the Common Home Office Committee, updating them on the process of trawling through records. The Windrush scandal came to an headline earlier this year, where it emerged hundreds of Commonwealth citizens who came to the UK in the year up to 1973 and were entitled to be in the country have been wrongly threatened with deportation. Then it's really sad because these people were there, and I'm glad that they decided to apologize now, but are they willing to take back those people out of Jamaica who were supposed to be in the UK? It led to the resignation of Amber Rudd as Home Secretary and the government promise of a compensation fund for those affected. Mr. Javid said work was still ongoing, but there appeared to be 164 people of the Caribbean Commonwealth heritage who might have been in the UK before 1973. Of those, officials had identified 18 cases where individuals had lived in the UK but were unable to demonstrate their continuous residence and were removed or detained as a result. Mr. Javid wrote, "These are the people who have so far identified whom we considered are most likely to have suffered determined because their rights to be in the UK was not recognized and therefore were the department is most likely to have acted wrongly." Wow. I'm always saying wow because, the Home Office should have known better. So they just take up people and start to send them wherever they choose. He goes on to say, I am absolutely clear that this should have not happened, and the Home Office is already working to address any wrongs done. The Home Office is already in contact with 14 of the 18 people and will continue to reach out to the remaining 4 to put them in contact with the task force. I'll write to all of them offering a full formal apology and sign posting them to the compensation scheme. Should any of the 11 people who left the UK wishes to return, a few are already here, they will be supported to do so. We have already, he said, should any of the 11 persons who left the UK wishes to return, a few are already here, they are supported to do so. We have already supported one such individual. Mr. Javid said of the 18 individuals, 4 were removed and 2 detained before May 2010 when the Labour was in government. 7 were removed and 5 detained after 2010 when the Tory Lib Dem coalition came to power. The Home Secretary who replaced Amber Rudd said when she stepped down, let me read it again. The Home Office who replaced Amber Rudd when she stepped down over the scandal saw heavy criticism of the hostile environment for immigrants, said he would be writing an apologies to the 18 who were most likely to have suffered deported. Anthony Bryan of Edmonton, North London, was one of those wrongly. Wow, this thing is giving trouble here, but just bear with me a bit. Andrew Bryan of Edmonton, North London, was one of those wrongly arrested and have been detained twice in recent years and told to return to Jamaica when he left in 1965, age 8. The apology is all well and good, but for me personally, I'm still going through the Windrush scandal, the 61-year-old says. Mr. Javid said he used the letter to direct the 18 towards a compensation scheme. Sorry. Sorry about that. But Mr. Bryan said he needed urgent action after recouping significant debt while being unable to work as a painter and a decorator for nearly 3 years because of the scandal. The 3 years I didn't work, it's been backing up on me. People are asking for their money that I borrowed off them, and unfortunately I can't be dealing with that yet, he said. Something should have been done a long time ago. It is supposed to be up and running, and not just for me alone. I'm sure it's not just me going through that. I'm not just fighting for myself. I'm fighting for the 18s. Mr. Bryan said he returned to work last week, having got his biometric resident permit after the scandal was made public. Officials examined nearly 12,000 historical records to establish that 18 people who came to the country from the Caribbean before 1973 and stayed permanently either left the country voluntarily after being unable to establish continuous residency or were wrongly detained. Mr. Javid also said 74 people have been identified who arrived before the crucial date, but appear to have spent more than 2 years overseas, losing their rights to remain in the UK. Wow, the Empire Windrush passenger ship docked in Tilbury from Jamaica. The 492 passengers were temporarily housed near Brixton in London. Over the following decades, some 500,000 came to the UK. Many arrived on the appearance passport and were not formally neutralized as British citizens. In 1973, a new Immigration Act came into force, putting the onus on individuals to prove they had previously been resident in the UK. In 2014, a protection that exempt Commonwealth residents will enforce removal was removed under the new law. Theresa May was Home Secretary at the time. Under a crackdown on illegals, Windrush immigrants are obliged to provide proof they were resident in the UK before 1973. Wow, there's so much pictures to show of the Windrush docks and people who were among those. It's not gonna be an easy thing to solve, because many went to the UK in the 60s and the 50s to work, and their children were taken afterwards. Kids were even born in the UK and were sent back to Jamaica. So I keep asking, and not just Jamaica, but other Caribbean islands, and I really want to know what's going to happen to those children, since their parents were caught up in this kind of scandal, you know. And it affected a lot of people on the nerves, really, you know. One commentator said, weak, pathetic government continue with its unconditional immigration policy. Million more to pile in the freebies yet, you know. Another person said, funny how most of the people on here don't seem to agree with saying sorry to people who are wrongly detained and deported. Again, another person said, again with the apologies for things that had happened in the past. How about thinking about the future for a change? You know, a lot of people have been caught up, and we will find out also too that in other countries this is also going on. You know, people have been there for years, and some countries not even your families are allowed to reside there with you. You can stay there and work, but you're not allowed to take your family in. You know, whether mother or father or your children that were born in your land where you came from, you know, unless they are taken to marry somebody without their choice. This is a thing I've seen going on in Europe here, and it's not nice. You know, you have to bring your children and force them into marriage to stay in the country where you yourself have become resident. So a lot of this is affecting the Caribbean people and people on a whole who migrate to other countries, you know, without criminal records, who've worked their hard time for that country, served for that country. And at the ending of the day, you're sent out, deported, or being killed. That's, you know, just the viewers commenting and some of the things I've, you know, analyzed over the years living abroad. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and do subscribe. I know I've been a bit coughish at this hours of the morning, but do accept also my apologies. Be blessed.